Told him how I'd sit at the dinner table, across from a man who wouldn't even look up from his phone. How I'd gone months, feeling like a ghost in my own marriage. Invisible, unwanted, unloved, the words came slow, like I was peeling off layers. I didn't even know I was still wearing, and then there was a pause. The kind of pause that wraps around you like a question. His hand was on mine. Not sudden, just there, warm, steady, present. I should have stood up. I should have walked away. I should have remembered who I was supposed to be to him, but his hand was warm. His eyes were searching. And in that moment, I wasn't his stepmother. I wasn't even a woman who had raised him. I was just a woman who hadn't been touched in over a year. A woman who missed being seen, who missed being chosen, even if it was wrong, even if it was dangerous. I didn't say anything. Neither did he, but the way our hands stayed there, the way the silence changed, shape, we both knew something had shifted. Again, something we couldn't unvee. Then he leaned in and I let him. His lips touched mine, slow, unsure, but certain, enough to make my breath catch. And for a second, just one suspended trembling second, I let it happen. His hand was on my cheek, gentle, too gentle, like he was afraid I'd break. But I didn't break. Not. Then I leaned in. It wasn't the kind of kiss you dream about. It wasn't perfect. Wasn't sweet. It was something else. Something tangled, raw, and aching, like two people trying to swallow. Silence and failing, I pulled away eventually, but not immediately. It wasn't until I felt the heat rise in my chest, that rush of guilt flooding back in, that I turned my face and whispered, "I can't." He didn't say anything. He just looked at me, lips parted like he wanted to explain something he didn't understand. Himself, he stood up, walked inside, shut the door, not loudly, just enough to create distance. I went straight to the bathroom, turned on the light, and stared at my reflection. My mouth still warm, still buzzing with what I just allowed. I grabbed a towel, soaked it in hot water, and started scrubbing. Harder until my lips burned. Wanted to erase it, undo it, make it unreal. But it was real. Too real, and the worst part. It wasn't just guilt I felt, it was want, that deep, shameful kind. The kind that doesn't come from love or logic, but from loneliness, from neglect, from something buried for too long. I stared at myself in the mirror, and for the first time in my life, I didn't recognize the woman looking back. She looked familiar, but not like me. Not the mother, not the wife, not the woman who always did the right thing. No, she looked like someone who had crossed a line she helped draw and then erased when no one was watching. I didn't sleep. That night I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, heart-racing, skin hot, every breath louder than it should be, and I knew without question he wasn't sleeping there. I could feel it through the wall, the stillness, the weight, the echo of something that should never have happened but did. And from that moment on, even if we said nothing, everything between us had changed. The next morning, we didn't speak. Not one word. He poured his coffee. I made toast. The clinking of silverware was louder than it should have been. Every sound felt like a scream inside a library. I tried to act normal, asked if he slept. Okay, he nodded. Didn't look up, said, "Yeah, that was it." The silence between us wasn't peaceful anymore. It was charged, heavy, suffocating, like trying to breathe underwater. He stopped staying in the same room. Too long, started wearing headphones around the house, started spending more time out than in. I told myself he just needed space, but deep down I knew he was retreating, pulling back from something we'd never even fully stepped into. And then a week later, he brought someone home. I heard laughter before I saw her. That high, flirty kind of laughter. That stings. When it's not for you. He walked into the kitchen with her behind him. She was young, pretty, bare-faced, and confident. Introduced herself as Maya. He said she was just a friend. Said it casually, like it meant nothing. Like imeant. Nothing. I smiled, told her. She was lovely. Offered her something to drink. played the part of the warm, composed host. But the moment they walked out of the room, I went straight to the bathroom, locked the door, turned on the faucet, and I cried. Not the loud, gasping kind, the quiet. The kind you bury in towels and running water. In clenched fists, I bit down on my sleeve to keep the sound in. Because what right did I have? What was I to him? Really not a girlfriend, not a stepmother, not even a woman he owed anything to, just a complication, a moment that should have never happened. A kiss he probably already regretted. And yet I couldn't stop the ache, the jealousy, the way her presence felt like a slap across skin. I hadn't let anyone touch in so long. I wanted to scream, wanted to ask him why he brought her here, why he smiled at her, the way he used to smile at me. But I said nothing, because there was nothing I could say that wouldn't unravel. The Lee we were both trying to stitch back together in silence. Nights became the hardest. Not because they were quiet, but because they gave me nowhere to hide. I'd lie in bed staring at the ceiling. And the questions would come soft at first, then loud, crashing waves in a room with no sure was I a predator. Did I take advantage of someone who trusted me, or was I just desperate to feel something? Again, would it have happened if I wasn't so alone? If Mark hadn't chipped away at me for years until I was just a shadow dressed in routine? I didn't have answers, only the ache, only the guilt, only the memory of lips I should have never kissed, and the silence that followed. I started writing. Not because I wanted to remember, but because I needed to survive. The remembering old notebook, torn cover lines already filled with grocery lists and forgotten passwords. Now every page carried confessions, words I couldn't say, out loud thoughts too tangled to explain, questions no one could answer. I wrote, until my hand cramped, until the ink smudged from tears. I pretended not toshed. It became a place where I could ask the things I was too ashamed to whisper. Did he mean? It was there a version of this where we could have gone back, unbroken, untouched, unchanged. Or did we break something sacred the moment our mouths met one night? I was cleaning out the junk drawer, the one every house has filled with expired batteries and useless keys, and I found it, a folded piece of paper, faded, fragile. It was from Liam. He must have written it when he was maybe 11, crayon handwriting, crooked letters. Thank you for being my real mom, no punctuation. Just that raw, honest puree. Stared at it for a long time, that notice to make me feel proud. Now it felt like a wound. What changed in him? Or was it me who changed first? Maybe we crossed a line. We both had drawn in the sand and then kicked it away. When no one was looking, maybe love and loneliness looked too similar in the dark. And maybe I just wanted to feel young, alive, chosen. But not like this. Not at the cost of the boy I once called my son. Have you ever let something in? Not because it was right, but because you were starving for connection. Have you ever opened a door you swore you'd never touch, just to feel, seen, just to feel held for a moment? Longer than usual? I don't know if what he did makes me a bad person. I don't know if it makes me weak. All I know is that there was a night, a single night, where I stopped being who I thought I was, and became someone I didn't recognize. Was I wrong for letting it happen? Or was just a woman trying to feel alive again, trying to remember what it felt like to be desired, to be noticed, to not be invisible anymore? Maybe you felt that too, maybe not in the same way, but maybe you've stood at the edge of something, torn between who you're supposed to be and who you are when no one's watching. Share your thoughts in the comments, your stories, your regrets, your truths. I read every single one, no judgment, just honesty, no shame, just understanding. Like this story, subscribe to Heartfelt Tales. Unfold where silence turns into stories too heavy to carry. Alone, tap the bell, because the next story might echo something you've never dared say aloud. Some betrayals don't begin with desire. They begin with loneliness, with empty chairs across dinner tables, with unanswered questions, with the sound of your own breathing echoing through a house too quiet to bear. They begin when no one notices the sadness in your smile, when the warmth you once lived in turns cold and you go searching anywhere for fire. And sometimes it's not the sin that destroys you, it's the Silence that follows the pretending, the burying the weight of what could have been different. If only someone had asked if you were. Okay, but no one did. And so here I am, telling a story I never meant to live. I carry alone because some truths don't need forgiveness, they just need to be heard.